All right, today we're going to tackle two writing skills that, on the surface, seem pretty simple. But when you get to an advanced level, they become surprisingly tricky. We're talking about choosing the right transition words and absolutely mastering parallel structure. Let's dive in. It's a feeling a lot of us have had. You've been writing your whole life, things generally sound good, and then you hit a high-stakes test or a really formal piece of writing, and suddenly the rules seem to flip on you. Your gut feeling, the thing that's guided you for years, just starts leading you down the wrong path. So, what's going on? And there it is. This gets right to the heart of the problem. These advanced questions are not just questions, they're traps. They're specifically designed to sound smooth, familiar, and correct to your ear. The only way to beat them is to switch off that part of your brain and start analyzing what's actually going on with the logic and the structure of the sentence. So that's really the battle we're talking about today. It's your ear versus the sentence's true structure. Our whole goal here is to give you a method to override that little voice that says, sounds fine, and instead train you to see the sentence's blueprint. First up, let's talk about sentence transitions. Okay, let's decode these things. Every single one of those little transition words, however, therefore, consequently, it's not just there for decoration. It has a very specific job. Its job is to signal the logical relationship between the idea that just finished and the one that's about to begin. So our mission is to become detectives and figure out what that relationship really is, completely ignoring what just sounds right. And here's the key. Start thinking about these words in families. For example, words like therefore and thus might have slightly different flavors, but they're in the same family. They both signal a result. So if you can just name the relationship like, oh, this is a contrast, then you can find the right family. And you've basically cracked the code for that question. The way to do this is with a system. Don't just guess. Here's the method. First, just mentally delete the transition word that's there. Read the two sentences back to back and ask yourself, okay, what is the logical move the writer's making here? Is it a cause and effect? Is it an example? Name it. Say it out loud if you have to. And only then, after you've made your diagnosis, do you look at the answer choices to find a word from the family that matches what you found. That discipline makes all the difference. Now let's look at how this plays out in some really common traps. Check out this sentence. Your ear hears it and thinks, yeah, okay, that sounds reasonable. But logically, does it make sense? Did the slow recognition cause her influence? No, not at all. These two ideas are actually in conflict. What the writer means is that she was influential in spite of the slow recognition, and that's a concession, which calls for a word like although, not because. See the trap? And here's another classic. The second sentence here isn't just adding more of the same kind of information. It's actually changing direction. It's pivoting. It's saying, hey, everyone focuses on these guys, but they're totally missing this other important group. That reversal, that pivot, demands a contrast word like however, not an addition word like in addition. So if you want to build one single habit that will make you a master of this, it's this. Every single time you see a transition word in a piece of writing, just pause for a split second and name the relationship it's supposed to be signaling. If you can't do it instantly, that is a massive red flag that the word might be wrong. Okay, time to shift gears to our second skill, parallelism. Now this one is maybe even more deceptive because a lot of the time it couldn't care less about meaning. Parallelism is a pure rule of grammatical form. It's all about making sure your patterns match. And the rule itself is super simple. When you use a connector like and or to join a few things in a sentence, all of those things have to be the same type of thing grammatically. So you can connect a noun with a noun or a verb with a verb, but you can't connect a noun with a verb. If you mix and match the forms, the structure is considered broken, even if we can all figure out what you mean. Now, test makers have their favorite hiding spots for these errors. The most obvious one is in a simple list of 3 or more things. But the really tricky, advanced level errors, they hide in 4 other places. In comparisons that use then, in not X but Y phrases, in those fancy pairs like not only but also, and of course, deep inside long, complex sentences where the parallel parts are really far apart. Here's a perfect example of one of those traps. Not only but also is a matched set. Whatever grammatical outfit the phrase after not only is wearing, the phrase after but also has to wear the exact same thing. In the wrong version, we have a noun phrase, a talented pianist, paired with a verb phrase, composes seriously. That's a mismatch. To fix it, we have to make them both noun phrases, a talented pianist and a serious composer. Now they match. And just like with transitions, you don't guess. You use a system. It's a simple 4-step check. First, find that connector word, the and, the or. Then put brackets around the actual things being connected. Third, look at their grammatical shape. Are they all verbs, all prepositional phrases? And if you find a mismatch, you've found the error. Okay, this one right here is probably the sneakiest trap of them all. The meaning feels perfectly parallel, right? Both parts describe her speech. Your brain says, yep, that makes sense. But the grammar is totally broken. Eloquent is an adjective. She spoke persuasively is a whole clause. They don't match. To fix it, you have to make the forms match. 2 adjectives, eloquent and persuasive. So as we start to bring this all together, let's connect the dots. Mastering transitions and mastering parallelism, they're not really 2 separate skills. They're both about developing one single master skill, learning to read for structure. You can have a sentence that sings. It can have a beautiful, fluent melody that sounds just wonderful. But it can be built on a totally broken blueprint. Your ear is designed to hear that melody. Your analytical mind, though, that's what you need to train to see the blueprint, to see the logical connections and the grammatical patterns that are holding the whole thing together. So let me give you 2 dead simple strategies you can take with you for test day. First, when you see a transition question and the original word seems fine, that is your signal to be more suspicious, not less. That's often where the trap is. And second, train yourself to have a tiny physical reaction every time you see the words and or, just a little flinch. That flinch is your reminder to do a quick check to the left and a quick check to the right to see if the grammatical forms are matching up. And that's really why this stuff feels harder the better you get at writing. The tests stop rewarding your good instincts and start rewarding your ability to stop, step back, and systematically override those instincts. The answer that sounds obvious and fluent, well, that just became the trap. So if there's one single takeaway from all this, it's about discipline. It's a new mindset. Read for logic. Read for structure. And most importantly, do not trust fluency. Don't trust that little voice that says it sounds right. Ultimately, I guess it all comes down to this one question. When it comes to advanced writing and editing, is your ear your best guide, or could it actually be your worst enemy? After today, hopefully you've got the tools to know the difference.